Hi there, I know a lot of people were interested in the video on how to make a cutout front of a card. So I'm going to do a quick tutorial, make it really basic today, but just to give you an idea and some pointers. So first thing to do is pick a shape. I'm going to go for my square. I'm going to make it a bit bigger so we can see it now today. I'm not worried about the size just yet, we'll go into that afterwards. And I'm going to turn this white because I've got white card. I'm then going to duplicate this twice. I'll explain that later. So I want you to just put those over there, out the way. And then I'm going to duplicate again. So it makes another copy. I'm going to turn this into a different colour, just whatever colour's there, and start making it a bit smaller. So what I'm looking for is to make a border on this white piece of card here. So this is going to cut the inside out. So I think that's probably, you don't want it too thin because when you fold the card you need a bit of an area to fold. So I'm going to select both of those. Click a line and centre, so that moves that box in the centre. Then I'm going to click slice. When you slice something, it means that it slices a shape out of that shape. So you can see that we've now got two squares. I'm going to get rid of those. So if I was to send this to the machine now, it would just send this border. It would cut the middle out, it would cut the outside out, and it would just be a border. So next thing I'm going to do is get my font. For this, I'm going to use Lovely Melody. I'm going to keep this a really simple one, so I'm just going to write Happy. So I'm going to make that a bit bigger for you to see. Now you can see it's got spaces in between. We want everything touching. So we got to letter space, press the button so they all come together. And that's come together quite nicely. So I'm happy with that. So I'm going to move this in. So what we need to do is have one side touching the inside border here and stretch this side out until the other side is also touching. I'm not worrying about the curly bits going off the side, that's fine. Doesn't matter if it's touching the top, the more it touches the better, because when you weld it, it all merges into one. So that's touching at the top, that's touching at the side, and that's touching there. So when I weld it, it will weld together. The next word I'm going to use is birthday. I'm going to make this a bit bigger. Now this word, it's always a bit trickier because whenever you've got a tinge you end up writing, it always goes wrong. I don't know why. So I'm going to bring that in. You'll see what I mean in a second. So the I's now touching, the R's touching, everything's touching except the space between the T and the R. So I'm going to ungroup it. I'm going to select these three letters and I'm going to move them across until I'm happy. I think that's right. Then you want to select them all again and click group. If you don't group them, then you'll be moving single letters around. So again, I'm going to put this in here. I'm going to let the writing touch the top of that word there. The Y's touching, the B's touching, so it's all touching all over. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to also add some shapes. So for today, I'm going to add some hearts. So select shape, select heart. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. Doesn't matter what colour anything is because it's all going to weld and it all will be one at one point. So I'm going to duplicate the heart. When you're putting extra pictures in or numbers or whatever you're putting in, you're thinking about how you can make it sturdier. So if I was to pop this here, make sure it's touching the top. So I'm going to a tiny bit more. Pull it down so it's touching the letters. So that's going to make that sturdy over here. This one here I might put between these letters here, so I might have it touching the bottom of the H and the B. What you don't want is anything pointing into these open spaces, because if you get a little point into like the open part of a B or an O, then when you weld you'll see that bit disappears, you won't be able to see it. And I'm going to duplicate it one more time here. I think I'm going to stick another one over here. So when you're putting these together, it doesn't always look that great. When you cut it, it always looks much better. So that's a bit too big because it's in the middle of the A's. You'll see if I welded that, it would disappear. So I'm going to have that touch in the letters there. And then just for a bit of stability down here, I'm going to let it touch the T, the H, and the bottom. I'm just going to make that tiny bit bigger, make sure it's really touching. Like so. The other thing we notice, we've got a floating eye, so if you were to cut this, the eye would just disappear. So what you can do is select a shape, select a circle. You're going to have to make it quite small and then bring it over, place it over the top of that eye, make it a little bit bigger so it's touching everything. So when you're happy, you think everything's quite sturdy and secure, I think it should be okay. So I'm going to go to the top here, I'm going to left click, hold everything down till everything's highlighted, so you'll see everything go grey on this side. You don't want to attach because that would just join everything together and it would still cut in places. What you need to do is weld. So when I click weld, you'll see everything joins together. So it's going to cut around the outside. These bits have all welded, so they're one, so they're not going to cut individual pieces. So that's the front of your card. If you have a card that you're cutting onto, then you can do that straight onto your card. I'm doing it, so making the actual card yourself. So we did identical pieces earlier. So I'm going to bring this piece over here. I'm going to highlight both of them, align, center vertical. So that brings them into line, but you can see there's a gap between them still. So click this one, keep going until there's no gap. So now they're touching. Then you're going to highlight again, and you're going to weld. So this has now become one piece of card. So this will cut on a piece of white card, and you will fold it once it's finished. Then we have this other piece over here. I'm going to change this. So just imagine you've made this for somebody and you want a red background. This bit of red's going to go behind here when you've cut it out. So that will be your card. You can also, I don't have a scoring tool, you can also make sure you can put a scoring line down the middle so you can fold it. I'm just going to fold it because I don't have that option. I just fold them myself. Just to remind you, we didn't check the size. Now this is the time. If you're going to resize it, make sure you've highlighted both together. Remember the top one is double, so whatever that is, at the moment it'll be 12 centimetres wide, although it says 23 because you're going to half it when you fold it. So I'm not going to make this too big because it's just a demonstration one. So I'll leave it at that. So when I click make it, you have a piece of white card that's going to cut out the white card, and you have a mat with your red card. So I'm going to go ahead and cut them out, and I will show you at the end what they look like. So here's the final product. So there was the white piece of card that we cut out and the blue piece of card. I've glued the blue piece of card just inside, and this gives you the cutout. I haven't spent time, but you can put some glue on the back of hearts just to make sure it's really stuck down. But this is your final product. So just making sure that you, like the hearts, you can see it's made it a bit sturdier. You can put extra bits in. You can do any writing you want, but that's the basis of it and how to do it. So I hope that was helpful. Thank you.